Okay, guys, this is a long overdue life update video. I have not done this. The last time I've done this, I would say was over a year ago or maybe a year and a half ago. I can't even remember. It's been a long time. And the truth is, I haven't shared a lot about what's been going on behind the scenes for me because things have shifted so much for me. If you've been following me for a while, you've seen my evolution just from observing me from 2016 Linda Raynier to now 2025 Linda Raynier, and you've sensed probably that things have changed, and they have a lot. I've changed a huge amount. And so in this video today, I really want to just be completely raw and authentic and real with you. And I just want to share with you my story as to what's been going on in the last, I have to say, I feel like it's been the last few years that I have to catch you up on. I've written a book. There's a whole crazy backstory about how that came about. I've had many actually, the identity shifts that I've been going through and just this whole journey of rediscovery and coming home to myself, because I genuinely can tell you I feel so much better. And I'm being completely honest when I say this. I have come to this place where I did not think I was going to cry. Oh my God, we're already 3 minutes in. I wanted it to be a quick video, but I've come to this place where I feel so much more at ease and clear within myself as to who I am and who I'm showing up next as this new version. Okay. So for you, if you have ever, or if you are currently feeling like your life no longer fits who you are, that you are realizing and feeling as though you've outgrown a certain version of yourself. And maybe right now you are feeling a little stuck. You are feeling a little stagnant. You're feeling unsure as to what's next for you. I'm sorry. Okay, this will clear up soon. My nose is all stuffy now. Then this video is for you, because that is who I want to speak to. I want to speak to you if you can resonate with this feeling of realizing that there's more to life than just making money, than your career, even though all I talk about mostly is career and growing in your career. But if you realize that there's more and you know that there's more and you want more for yourself, then I want to share with you my story in hopes that it will help you in some way, shape, or form. It's received in however it lands. Okay, let's just really get into it. Okay, so I want to take you back a little bit in time. 2016, I put out my very first YouTube video. I put out a couple of YouTube videos. And what's interesting is now I feel like I'm going back full circle. Those first couple of YouTube videos, they were about how to find a fulfilling career. What is your purpose in life? I mean, that was sort of the topic that I knew even nearly a decade ago I wanted to talk about. And that was because that was just something in my heart that was so meaningful and felt that it was part of my calling to share with people. And I wanted to share that message. But, you know, I was 10 years younger than I am now, 10 years less experienced in life than I am now. And I didn't have a lot to say beyond what I knew at the time. And so what I decided, I believe it was my third video, I decided to put out a video called Tell Me About Yourself, how to answer the interview question, tell me about yourself. And if you're on this channel, you most likely saw that video because that is my top performing, has like 20+ million views. That is the video that allowed me to take my business at the time from just being an uncertain career coach to the next level. I ended up building a very successful, over the course of these years, it's been multiple 7 figures. I have helped thousands of people land job offers all over the world through my programs. And I built this thriving online presence as Linda Raynier, the successful career coach. Because of the success of my business, internally, I started to identify with my success and the money that I was making and my ability to help and teach others. And I became even more of a high achiever because of that, in the sense that I started equating my worth, my sense of worth, with my output, with what I was able to do for others, but also what I was able to receive from that. My entire sense of self-worth was wrapped up in my work. And this was from 2016 up until 2020, where, I was riding high. So in 2020, I ended up getting pregnant. Now, even before this, I also want to say, when I say like I was riding high, I had a vacation home that I had purchased back in 2018. I was even on the show Hawaii Life, which now it's been transferred over to House Hunters, where they actually filmed my husband and I looking at vacation homes in Hawaii. And we did that for 6 years straight. We lived in Hawaii. We had a beautiful home with an ocean view, mountain view. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because that to me was me at a time where I felt like I've achieved it. I've achieved what I wanted. I reached this epitome of what I felt was success. And that became my entire identity. So then what happened next was I became pregnant. It was a bit of a struggle in terms of, I wanted to get pregnant. When I had turned 30, I told my husband, okay, I think, it's time for us to start our family. And those next couple of years, it wasn't happening. So then I ended up having my son via IVF. And first round of IVF, got pregnant, and he was a blessing. We had him in the midst of COVID. We were very happy. And that was where, at this point in my life, I realized, okay, I want to slow things down a little bit because I want to be there for my son, not knowing and realizing that I would really need to slow down because just 1 year after that, I got pregnant again. Now this time, complete surprise. The point is I had 2 babies very close together. They're 14 months apart. They're now best friends. They're also enemies at points, but they love each other and I'm so blessed. But at the same time, at that point in my life, 2020, 2021, my whole identity of being this successful career coach, blah, 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 having all the things, the vacation home, the purses, beautiful home, all that stuff, that no longer was my identity because now my identity was being a stay-at-home mom. I slowed things down to the point where I wasn't putting out content. I wasn't putting out videos. I truly just genuinely wanted to be there for my kids because I didn't have a choice. I needed to be there. And so inside, even though I was being a mom and I was so grateful, and I'm still so grateful for my children, because I have been this high achieving, career oriented, determined business person, I started to feel a lot of guilt and confusion. I felt that I didn't have any value left in me. And so it was the first time that I started to question whether I could go back to that life that I always had, because I realized that probably wasn't going to happen. That life was Linda Raynier before kids. And then I became a mom, and now my children became the priority, but also my career was still very important to me. But at the same time, it was also my identity. So now I had this identity shift. So all of this was going on within me emotionally. Then at the end of 2022, I received shocking news. My husband also, at that point in time, he was climbing his career ladder. He was working at a big Canadian bank. He was essentially director level, and they were wanting him to fast track to executive level. All of these opportunities were going to be available to him. But at the same time, he was very stressed out. He was working really hard. So both him and I were, I like to say, and I wrote about it in my book, The Quiet Achiever, where I say we were on parallel lanes to burnout. And so at the end of 2022, just as when I was feeling as though, okay, I'm ready to start creating again, this life news hit us hard. And this life news was that my husband was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And we weren't told directly by the doctors as to what his prognosis was, but all you had to do was go on Google, and you clearly could see that 99 point whatever percentage of people that got that type of cancer did not make it after 1 year. And so, of course, at first there was fear, there was worry, there was concern. I can remember that. But I also remember the shift that I experienced in that moment when we were in the doctor's office. And at that point, for me, I also said to myself, I can't work anymore. I can't think about my business. All I can focus on right now is my family, my husband, my kids. I was just looking to survive and make it through this next storm that was coming. And it was a storm, but it was a beautiful internal healing type of storm for all of us as a family. And my children were very young, so they just still lived their lives, but it was more for my husband and I. We went through this massive inner healing journey. And I'll talk more about this whole healing journey that my husband went on in future videos, because there's a whole backstory for it. But just for today, the message that I want to share was that I have always known that healing does not happen from the outside. It starts from the inside. You heal from within, and then the external reflects that. And in this midst of fear, even though all of our friends and family, obviously, thought worst case scenario, or they were afraid as well, all of these things, I started to get a very strong inkling. My intuition was telling me, he's going to be okay though. I just had a strong knowing that he was going to be okay. And there's a whole backstory for why I had that feeling, which maybe I'll share in another video. But the idea here is that I just knew that he had the ability to heal himself, because I know as human beings, we have the ability to heal ourselves. We have the ability to shift and change and transform at any given moment if we allow ourselves to do it. That very first meeting that we had with the oncologist, where she had tears in her eyes when she walked into the room saying, I am so sorry that you are going through this, because she knew that we were a young family, that he was young, he was in his prime, and that he was going through something so severe. She shared with us, all of the things about the treatment and protocol, whatever, and she left us for about 15 minutes. And of course, I look over at my husband, I see he's deflated in that moment because of the news that he's just received. This was our first meeting with the doctor, by the way, after being diagnosed. So we didn't know much. We didn't really know about what was going to happen, what was going on, what was the treatment, and really what things were going to look like for him. But based on the words that came out of her mouth and just sort of the energy, I could sense that they didn't feel super positive, obviously, because of statistics and because of what's happened for other people. In that moment, those 15 minutes, something happened within me. I turned to my husband and I said, you have a choice. You can choose to go along with what this doctor and all the other doctors that we've been talking to are saying, or you can choose to stay. You can choose to see that this is actually an opportunity for healing, for understanding, for getting to know yourself, for getting to the root of where this came from, and being able to say, I'm going to choose to not fall into that pathway. I'm going to choose to fall into the pathway of surviving and thriving. That's not exactly the words that I had used, but the idea is there. Something happened within the next 5-10 minutes. We both had these rose-colored glasses on. By the time the doctor came back in, whatever she said afterward didn't matter. We were like, okay, sure, we'll go with it, because we know he's going to be fine. We know we're going to be fine. We know he has the power to heal. We all do. And we're going to make use of that power. There's a whole process as in how he went through his healing process. And that, I think, is something I'm going to share for another video. If you're curious, let me know, put it in the comments. But we did things that were beyond just regular protocol, is what I want to say. And it confirmed for me and validated to me that how we feel, what we believe, is way more powerful than currently we think. How you feel about yourself, what you believe about yourself, what you know about yourself is the most valuable thing. I'm speaking from experience because of the fact that I was convinced that he was going to heal, and because he also started to feel that way about himself as well. Both of us were just in our own Delulu land, feeling and knowing that things were going to be fine. And guess what? Within 3 months, he ended up in the ICU for a whole separate issue. But it was in that experience that they discovered that there was no cancer. And several months after that, they did scans, and the doctor has come to us and said his body looks like someone who's never had cancer, which is insane and something that they've never seen. I don't want this whole video to just be about my husband's healing journey. It's really more about what that did for me and how that impacted me, because I went through a lot. I was a mom, a young mom to two babies with my husband, going through what he was going through, helping him through his healing journey, him going through his own healing journey, realizing that my identity no longer was this successful, crazy career business person. But of course, I want to continue to do my work. And so for me, life was returning back to normal from a personal standpoint, but from a career standpoint, I was not clear as to how I should be showing up to the world. And I was afraid for a very long time that I would be judged, or that people didn't understand, and I didn't know what I was going to say to people, and that I needed to just go back to being my old version of myself in some way, shape, or form. And so it's been this time period in the last few years of me really having to work through these growing pains and this pivot, this realization that I am not the same person that I was before, but I'm becoming so much more of who I really am. And I'm appreciative of that 2016 Linda Raynier because she has gotten me to where I am now. And where I'm going to next, I know is going to be amazing. And so I realized, and this is for you, I am not my career. I am not my productivity. I am not my achievements. I am not my success. I am so much more than that. And my book, okay, this is the other crazy part of the story. 6 months after my husband was fully pretty much back to normal, and this was from the time of diagnosis to 6 months later, I'm not even kidding, it took 6 months only for us to be like, wow, we're living a normal life again. I had a dream where I could see a book floating above me. It said, "Express Your Inner Confidence" by Linda Raynier. I swear that those were the words. And it was twirling up near the ceiling. I remember waking up, I could still see that book and it had my name on it. It was a book that I had written. And so I said, okay, I'm going to take that as a sign because I'm all about signs. I'm going to take that as a sign. I'm going to follow those breadcrumbs. So then I started researching and I started looking into how would it be to write a book? What is the process? How do I get an editor? How do I get a publisher, an agent, all these things? And then I started to feel a little bit deflated because it's actually a crazy long process. But then within 3 months, when I had started to kind of give up on the idea and I was like, okay, I'll put it on the back burner. I know I want to write a book. I just don't know what it's going to be about. And I don't know anything yet. Wiley, one of the world's biggest publishers, reached out to me and asked me, Linda, have you ever thought about writing a book? Because if you have, we would love to publish it. And so that is how my book, The Quiet Achiever, was born. So this here is the book. I mean, this is the manuscript. I spent the first few months writing chapters that I thought the book was going to be about. And after I wrote 5 chapters, I realized that's not what the book is going to be about. That is not what my heart is telling me this book is going to be about. That's not the legacy that I want to leave behind. I rewrote those chapters, and that is now the book that you're reading here today. So initially, I thought I would write about helping people to get promoted in their jobs. But as I was writing it, I realized I don't think you guys are necessarily striving to get promoted. Yes, some of you want to get promoted. However, I didn't want my book to just be about that. I knew there was so much more. And what I knew from the clients that I've been working with and from my own experience is that a lot of us who've achieved a certain level of success in our careers, we get to a point where we hit the success, we get the achievements, we get the accolades, and then we're like, well, who am I now? And what do I actually want? And why am I feeling still empty inside? And so that is what this book is about. The Quiet Achiever, Your Journey to Authentic Confidence. I poured my heart and soul into it. And I actually think some of the messages that I wrote were channeled through me because some of the things I wrote, I read back, I'm like, wow, I wrote this. It feels as though the content and the message is so precise in that it is wanting to help the person that reads this book to shift from this place of feeling stuck and stagnant, lost, confused, unhappy even, to then going through this inner journey of discovering who you really are. And I talk a lot in this book about beliefs. I talk about fear-based beliefs specifically and our programming from childhood. I talk about my story. I talk about my client stories. I share bits and pieces throughout the way to try to share examples as to what I mean when it comes to these particular concepts. And the whole point of this book and the whole purpose and the mission behind this is to get you to see that you are so powerful as you are, that we are powerful beings, that we have the ability to heal ourselves, we have the ability to transform ourselves, we have the ability to grow and do whatever it is our heart guides us to. We have to just stop letting ourselves get in our own way. Having been at what I felt was the top of my career, super successful, but then hitting what I felt was rock bottom at one point, and then working my way back up to getting to this place where I genuinely feel so much better about who I am and where I'm at in my life, and the clarity that I now have and the conviction that I now have in my message and who I'm here to serve. I want to hopefully inspire you to see that I'm an example, that if I could do it, you can too. I talk about authenticity. Authenticity just for me means that you feel comfortable with yourself. If you are being authentic, it means that when you're around, no matter who you're around, you feel comfortable. And then when it comes to confidence, because it's your journey to authentic confidence, so authentic comfort, confidence is trusting yourself. Confidence isn't this fake thing that we put on and we put a smile on. People are so savvy now. I think we're all very intuitive beings, and we can sense when someone isn't being authentically confident. We can sense that. We can sense maybe a bit of insecurity that they're carrying. When you're feeling confident in yourself, in the sense that you trust yourself, you know you're your value, you know your worth. It's when you know who you are that then comes through. If you resonate with my journey and you resonate with also being an introvert, someone who loves to keep to themselves, who would rather just do their own thing, but also you're highly ambitious, I don't want to take that away from anyone. As ambitious introverts, we want more for ourselves. That is always going to be part of our DNA. We have bigger visions and ideas for where we're going and what we want in our careers and all of those things. I don't think that needs to die for us to feel comfortable. That can still be part of our journey, but it comes with a sense of knowing who we are at the end of it. I'm going to get into 4 life lessons that I just want to quickly share with you that hopefully after hearing my story that you're going to be able to walk away with, because these are things that I've learned. So the first lesson is you're allowed to change. I did not give myself permission to change. And as you can see on my channel, you'll see some videos where I go back to that old version of myself trying to just teach how to find a job. I'm still helping people find jobs, by the way. That's still part of what I'm doing right now, but that does not represent all of me. That is not my entire identity. And so I want you to know that if you've had a certain career up until now and you're realizing this isn't me anymore, there's more to me. What makes more of me to me? What other aspects can you bring in? Maybe you do want to change. You're allowed to do that. Be accepting of that. The earlier that I would have allowed myself to change, probably I wouldn't have gone through this inner turmoil for so long. The second lesson I've been learning through this process is feeling stuck means that you're in a transformation. If you're feeling stuck right now, it just simply means that you are no longer the same version of you that got you here. You're no longer that same person, but yet you're not sure as to where you're going just yet. You're in the in-between, in that messy middle. It's that transformational stage. It's the metamorphosis stage. You're just in that. And stuck does not mean bad. Stuck means that there are certain beliefs that you've been carrying that no longer work for you. So now it's about unraveling those beliefs. It's as if you have chains tethered to your legs, your arms, you're feeling stuck. You can't move forward. Well, now it's like, okay, let's look at this one chain around my arm and let's work with it. Let's see, why is it there? How do we unlock it? How do we unravel it? And that's all you're doing, is you're unraveling the chains that have been holding you back, keeping you in that old version of yourself that no longer serves you. The third lesson I've learned, and I'm learning, how you feel about yourself matters more than what you do. The work that you do, the career that you have, the money that you're making, the titles, all of those things, those are nothing in comparison to how you feel about yourself. You can have it all, and I've proven that to myself. I can have it all and still feel empty inside. On the outside, you can look like everything's perfect, but on the inside, you don't feel fulfilled. What matters is, how do you feel about yourself? Do I feel as though I'm criticizing myself? Do I feel like I'm putting myself down? Do I feel negative? Start asking, what am I feeling about myself? Because that matters more than what I'm doing right now. Because if you start to feel good, then the things that you do will naturally take on that energy. Fourth lesson and final lesson, real confidence is quiet. Growing up, we were always taught the confident people are the ones that are loud, the ones that jump up and down, are extroverted. They're always talking positively about themselves. They're the ones with the most friends. I always felt like I'm not a confident person because I don't look like that. I don't feel like I can be that person. I'm not that person. But real confidence, authentic confidence, is not loud. It is not in your face. It's not flashy. Authentic confidence comes from within, and it is quiet. It is peaceful. It is calm. It is steady. It comes from here and it radiates outwards. That's authentic confidence. And that's what, again, I talk about in my book, The Quiet Achiever. And so when you can resonate with that energy and that frequency, when you can get to that place where you know who you are, you've worked through all the fear-based beliefs, I think that's still going to be an ongoing journey for every single one of us. It's not necessarily that we're going to say, we're totally clear of our fear-based beliefs. I don't know if that's possible, but we can get to a level where we've worked through enough of them that we actually start to feel that energy of authentic confidence within ourselves. And because we feel calm and at ease within ourselves, that then determines the course of our reality in terms of the choices that we make, the careers that we take on next, the types of interactions, the people, the relationships that we have. It dictates all of that. Hopefully through me sharing this bit of my story, it's going to help you. Now, just so you know, I do have more videos coming where I'm going to get deep into more of my story. I just feel that there's a lot that I have to share from my own experience that talks about my upbringing, my programming, that I know is going to be relevant to you if you resonate with me and where I'm at and where I've been. The next few videos are going to be all related to this, and it all ties in with my book, The Quiet Achiever. And so I hope that you continue to follow along on this journey. My book is now available for pre-order. It is going to be sold, as far as I know, in multiple countries, different languages, but for now it is available for pre-order on Amazon or at Barnes & Noble, and in Canada it's also Amazon or Indigo. You can head over to my website, lindaraynier.com/book, to pre-order. I will be offering a lot of bonuses coming up in the next few months. I will be doing live workshops. We're going to be talking all about this topic of confidence, and I'm going to talk about communication too. So that's it for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for my next few videos where I will be continuing to dive deeper. And let me know in the comments if you've made it this far. How are you feeling on your journey? How does it resonate? What are you taking away from this? I would love to hear it, because I genuinely just want to connect with you at a deeper level moving forward, now that I really am wanting to step into this version of myself. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. See you next time.